Welcome to Emotions and Eating with Nicola-beer. Nicola controlled her feelings using food for 25 years, so she knows how draining it is to be constantly thinking about or acting out with food. Thankfully, having made an amazing breakthrough in her recovery, her mission became about helping others escape the unsatisfying cycle of frustration and self-medication with food. Nicola is determined to help you find your inner strength so you can be healthy, gain confidence, feel great, and be at peace with yourself and food.
Hi and welcome, this is Nicola-beer and you're listening to Emotional Eating episode 9. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for tuning in and I'm hoping that you are finding something useful from the show. That's my goal. Basically, my mission is to help people to be free from emotional eating, to be free to eat in peace and to not be thinking about food all the time, to not be overeating, to not be undereating, just to be happy around food and have a great relationship with food without it being an obsession or a source of conflict and pain. If you do find anything useful in any of the show, if you are willing to share it or leave a rating or review, it'll be awesome. And the reason I say it'll be awesome is because more and more people then can find the help that they need. It's a myth that anorexic and bulimic individuals are teenage girls, because so many people I help, men and women, are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s and even 60s. And it's a myth that emotional eating is not the cause of obesity. Of course, it is one of the main causes of obesity, and that is often not addressed. So to help the world, to help other people, to help share the message, I'd be so grateful. So let's talk about the topic today, which is the power of sharing. I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt better about something? Anything after speaking to another person and just letting it out? Maybe the other person didn't offer any advice or told you what to do, but rather they listened and demonstrated that they understood what you were feeling. They listened. And if that simple action of you getting it off your chest and out of your own head made you feel lighter, even if the outcome of the conversation was not a solution, then you already have experienced the power of sharing. And then when you actually share something with someone that has actually gone through what you've gone through, that actually has done some crazy things around food. Like, the crazy things I've done around food are, and this is really embarrassing, I've stolen food, I have hidden food, I have put food in my handbag when I didn't want to eat it, put food in my handbag when I wanted to eat it later, I have had to pour water over food or put it in the bin just to make sure that I wouldn't eat it, because I couldn't trust myself to not eat it if it was just in the house. I have finished things off, which I've only opened, so like I open a box of cereals and that could be gone. I have cancelled going to events because I got anxiety over what food was going to be there and I couldn't control it. All sorts of crazy things. I've even cancelled going out for evenings because I wanted to stay in and eat the food. I wanted to be on my own and have my own little food ritual. And sharing that and being able to share that with someone that understands was a game changer for me. I really wanted someone who understood what it was like to emotionally eat and restrict food, and that I couldn't actually change these patterns alone, because I tried alone and it didn't help. I needed to know that I was not the only one that had these thoughts and behaviours. I needed validation from someone who understood me, my patterns and my pain, someone who could give me hope as well as strength. I unfortunately discovered this far, far later, and I had to learn the hard way. When I set out at the beginning to stop my bulimia and binge-eating and breaking away from food controlling and compulsive eating, I thought that I would change it on my own. I thought, I'm strong, I'm self-aware, I could see that it was about control and a way to deal with the emotions. I knew it was emotional eating, and I thought, I knew I had many fears in my life that plagued me. I had a fear of being fat, I had a fear of being poor and not having enough money, I had a fear of not falling in love, I had a fear of being in love, I had a fear that people didn't really like me, I had a fear of failure, and I even had a fear of success. And I also knew that I didn't love myself. So because of this awareness, I believed that I've got all of this insight into myself, I'm probably going to be able to heal myself, right? And so first of all, I thought, why should I spend any money on counselling or doing courses when I could figure it out using free information off the internet, or by finding and following a new plan of eating? But the truth was, nothing worked for very long. I've tried every diet out there. I've done detoxes, diet pills, and weight gain plans. But I would find that a few months later, I'd be back to square one. Other times I would tell myself that I didn't need to change. You know, when you tell yourself it's no big deal. Everyone is eating the same. So-and-so is thinner. So-and-so is bigger. So-and-so eats more than me. I'm not as bad as so-and-so. All that line, life's too short to worry. Oh, life's too short to worry, don't worry. Oh, it's fine just having this eating issue. In reality though, it did worry me. It did worry me a lot, being this way. I told myself that worrying about weight and being sick and worrying about being fat was just part of me and something I'd have to live with forever. What I needed was actually someone to pick the phone up to, someone to send an email message to when I felt down. I needed someone to share my thoughts with in the moment that I was suffering, and not to wait days and weeks for the next paid counselling session where I'd be labelled with an eating disorder with very little solutions to help. And also, I really don't like the term eating disorder, if I'm honest. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. You see, the thing is that life doesn't happen in a 1 hour eating disorder counselling session. Your life does not happen in 1 hour. So therefore, a counselling programme that gives you a 1 hour window slot often does not help people with their emotional eating. So then they think they failed. They think, well, I've had counselling and the counselling hasn't helped. And that's because what we really need is we need support in the moment. The time in between the sessions with no support was a disaster for me. My inner voice could win and take control. The inner voice and mental compulsion to binge, to purge or to starve was stronger than me at that time, as I had learnt the power of having support from like-minded people. And this has been true for many of my clients. They found too that when they tried to get support, it didn't work. They tried all different kinds of diets and plans. They may have tried counselling, they tried coaching, they tried all these kind of things. And there wasn't someone who understood exactly what they've been through, and there wasn't someone who was available to them to email or message and say, hey, I really feel like stuffing my face, or hey, I feel down, my mind keeps telling me to go to the shop and buy a load of food, or my mind is telling me that I don't deserve to eat, whatever it is. For me personally, I needed someone who knew what it was like to binge, to compulsively eat, to be sick, and to be constantly thinking about food. I wanted someone to judge me for who I am, not for my food behaviours. And that's really when I started reaching out for different kind of support. And I started researching addiction. And I loved learning about helping people through addiction, that I became an addiction coach, which really helped my eating patterns, because I discovered that all the world's most successful programs and rehab centres were run by people who had an addiction. They had been run by people who had been through it themselves, and they were helping people. And that's why I feel so compelled to do this show, because it's something that I have gone through and healed from. And therefore I feel I'm the best placed person to help other people. And I'm sure other people that have gone through this are as well. Because we know what it's like. And we know how easy it is to go from the binging mentality to the starving mentality, and neither is healthy. And we can spot it. And we know what it's like to listen and have those urges and those mental cravings, those emotional cravings, those physical cravings. So anyway, as I was learning about addictions, I found that a lot of people had strength with group programs. They were getting help because they were sharing in a group. And whether that was through Alcoholics-Anonymous, where they have a group program, or drug programs, they have a group program, or rehab centres, they all have group programs. And I had spent thousands of dollars on traditional counselling, and it made no difference to my emotional eating. Whereas sharing with other people that got where I was coming from gave me that high vibe love energy, which I talked about in episode 8. That high love energy is what we want to keep at if we want to beat this thing. And that's when I created a support group to help people to know what it's like to have unlimited support. If I work with someone, they get access to me. They can email me or they can message me and tell me how they're feeling at any point in the day. And I believe that that's really important because, as I mentioned, life doesn't happen in this 1 hour window. And what they found is in the group, those that join my group program, they find that sharing creates a high energy in a group. Now, you may be listening to this and think, well, I've never hidden food. I've never stolen any food. I've never lied about what I've eaten. I've never been focusing on food all day. I've never purged my food. I've never had to spoil food so I won't eat it, or get rid of it so I don't eat it. I've never ate everything in one go. And if that's true for you, then lucky you. That's all I've got to say. But if any one of those is true for you, it's nice to speak to someone who's like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And when I did this, it gave me peace. It gave me peace because I knew, okay, this person has gone through it and they have managed to break free. And when I knew this, it totally transformed my life and I would never look back. And I've been free now from my destructive habits for a long time. And yeah, the thoughts come and go, but having someone you trust or a community to share it with has made all the difference to recovery. I no longer abuse my body with food or excessive exercise. And whilst my journey started being about eating habits, food and weight preoccupation, I got so much more than freedom from the deadly cycle. I got to feel love, real love, and love for life, myself and others. Many in the group also say that helping others in the group make them feel stronger and happier for those who do join the group program that I run. So whether it's with me, whether it's in a group that you create for yourself, whether it's with a friend or a family member, is there someone that you can trust where you can share about your food patterns and behaviours? Is there someone where you can share these voices, these thoughts, to get them out of your head so that you have less control? Because when you get them out of your head and sharing them with someone, they are no longer as strong as what they were before. It takes away their power. That's how it works. And this is in your way to feeling love, these thoughts. Because when your mind and your heart and your body is controlled and dominated by these thoughts, you're so far away from love, it's unreal. And when you can get rid of them, you're going to be able to charge into that super powerful love feeling that changes everything. And that's the only way to find peace, is to get them out of your head. Now let's say you're listening to this and you're thinking, Nicola, I'm not ready to speak to anyone right now. not ready to